the go ahead, I'll begin. I think we are now live on Facebook. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so welcome everybody on a Sunday morning, and that itself shows flexibility. So I'm very happy to have you. Now, as I've already asked, let me confirm again because a few people may have joined in after I asked this question. Except for one person, I believe everybody else has been there for the 5th May session. And even if you haven't been there, Parthiban, no worries. I'll just do a quick review. So first is, why did we do this session? That's a good question to ask. So Vasundhara and I happen to be talking, and I am a trainer and a coach and a consultant who works with private companies. And just trying to figure out, I'm not the master of any subject, but in general, I study how people change, and they can change in any walk of life. So I just told Vasundhara that let me understand their world a bit more and see what we can do for them. And I talked to 4 or 5 people, understood what are their challenges. Hold on, somebody has raised their hand. Yes, you want to speak something? The gentleman who raised his hand. You can unmute yourself. I'm not sure what's happening. आपने खुद को म्यूट किया है शायद. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm not able to understand, but if you can wait, I'll talk to you. Vivo 1906. आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है. I'll come back to you. Okay, so what I did was I spoke to a few people in the community, and then we identified this topic, being flexible and adaptable. So let me share what we did in the first session. Hold on. And we'll continue from there. Are you able to see the slide, Vasundhara?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so this is what we did. Just refreshing this thing. So the whole point, and I think I also shared a refresher document a few days back. I trust that some of you, if not all, would have gone through it. And it's really about, no, I am not a doctor and there's no magic here really. But what we can do is we can look at our own reality in a different way. And it's as simple but as challenging as that. It sounds simple, but it's challenging to do. But what I'm really helping all of us do is look at the same reality with new eyes. And then, share this. Oh, yes. And the most important thing in being flexible is relating to the content as a total human being, not just as a kidney patient or a kidney warrior. And I gave the example of my sister, how my sister, after she became a mother, she started relating to my mother better because now she was a mother. And now that really made her become more kind, more loving towards my mother. So what is meant by being flexible and adaptable? We did a breakout room. No, people discussed with each other. Being flexible and adaptable, what it gives you more choice. It gives you a better fit and more possibilities. If you look at things that are written here, they're all about flexibility, elastic close, no, more choice, better fit. वजन कम हो बड़ा हो चल जाता है. Cell data plans, choice मिलता है. Work from home, no, everything is about, how it helps us cope with life better. And the biggest flexibility and adaptability, when does a human being get that? When they change their self-perception. That's why you notice I've written it in capital letters. आप अपने आप को कैसे देखते हो? How you view yourself. When that changes, everything can change. You know? So what is the number one challenge that doesn't let us be flexible and adaptable? Here, I would like somebody to respond. Let me also see how much you recall from the last session. What was the number one challenge that we identified? If anybody can just come online and share, mute करके, unmute करके खुद को, in their own words. It's not an exam.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Ann.
Yeah, what I feel is that the biggest hindrance or challenge to flexibility and adaptability would be to come out of my comfort zone.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
That's what you have identified for yourself.
yes, because
Okay.
I'm not talking about let alone the earlier when I was healthy, but since the
Mhm.
time that I have been uh, living with this disease, so what I feel
Mhm.
that I have just what should I say, like I have just uh, uh, like uh, like I have just there's some kind of a routine set. Like I don't want to come out of it, or maybe I'm afraid of coming out of it. Like if something other than the routine thing happens, but what I'm habitual
Sure.
now for the past years, so maybe something will not go right, or something bad might happen. It might
Sure.
affect my health in an unfriendly way. So these are the
Mhm.
things which are in my mind. This is the mindset. So if
Okay.
only somebody is able to come out of it, then only it would be this is like overcoming a challenge from it.
Sure. Thank
That's
you,
my
Anna. You have shared what is the number one challenge for you. Can you recall what was shared out here also during the session? What was the number one challenge? Can anybody remember? I'll just move on to the next slide. Maybe that will refresh. Remember, I showed this picture and I asked this two questions. Write down how many, the number of interesting things and the total number of things. And what we found out was that the total number of things we can observe is always more than just the interesting things. So if you are given anything and we are said, find out the most interesting or the most visible, that's always less. But if we just say, find out everything, then it's more. How does it relate to the question, what is the number one challenge? I showed this picture and I said, observe what you are saying. And some people said they are observing the black dot. And some people said they are observing white space. And some said they're observing white space with the black dot. This slide. Write down the first sentence that comes to mind about your own body organs. And since this is the KWF, I won't be surprised if the first answer which came to us was that my kidneys aren't working. And this report card, as a student or a parent, what is your experience? Which subject is going to be most discussed? If you see A plus is outstanding and fail is understandable. So most people agreed that sabke ghar mein, in all homes, it's really about maths. The discussion will be about maths. What are we learning from all this? I invited you to be in a breakout room and share your learning. And this is the learning. The learning is that actually there are lots of things happening in our life. There's no single reality. There are multiple realities. But if you recall this story about the six blind men and the elephant, whatever is in front of each blind person, they think that that's the only reality it exists. But actually, there are multiple things which exist and they are there, but we don't notice them. We don't notice what's happening in the background. And that is the number one challenge. The number one challenge is we are guided only by one reality. जो नहीं हो रहा है ठीक, we notice only that. And that limits our choices. No? So this is really the key slide, which I would invite all of you to read, reflect, and we can take this forward. There is your one tough reality, जिसमें things are not working out, and there are other realities where life is working well. No? And the point is very simple. When you recognize अब जो अच्छा हो रहा है, जो चल रहा है, वो अगर देखेंगे, if you see that, if you notice that, if you think about that, if you appreciate that, that will help you become flexible and adaptable. What is working well? That will help you. So for instance, as a student, I never liked maths, but I liked history. So how do I become flexible and adaptable? I identify what is working well. History mein acha hu main. I like history. Why do I like history? What makes it interesting? And whatever is the answer, I then use it for maths. Can I make maths also similarly interesting? So just to be in that this thing, no, I want all of you to just I'll take a pause for 1 minute and quickly write down or just in your mind count at least three things which are working well in your life right now. Just three things. I'm giving you 30 seconds. Just सोचिए कि आपके जिंदगी में क्या अच्छा चल रहा है. Three things. And those of you who feel like sharing it in the chat, please do so. I'll just give an example of what happened just today morning. In fact, 1 hour before this session, I was sitting with my son. Thank you, Anna. I was sitting with my son and I kept my legs on the teapot table, and it was that tabletop is made of glass, and he was pulling me, and in pulling me, the glass slid off and it fell down on the floor. It was heavy glass and it broke into multiple pieces. You know, and it was a 20-year-old thing. My wife who is outside is going to scream and yell at me for that. And horrible thing to happen, something which was well preserved for 20 years has broken. Now I can choose to look at that. Oh, it's very, it's horrible thing that happened. But when I ask this question, what is working well in my life right now? I can definitely say, the dominant reality is that the glass broke. Oh, horrible. But other realities in the background, my son and I, who were so close to the glass, did not get hurt. So that's working well in my life right now. We were saved from a serious accident just 1 hour back. Grandson, my work, my family. Thank you, Tripti. What about others? Inviting people, finances, supportive medical team, supportive house help, flexible work. Super. So just to give an example, taking Farooq, I'm using your response as a this thing. So, like for instance, if Farooq wants to make his life flexible and adaptable, he has to look at what's working well: finances, supporting house help. What is it that makes this happen? Why are finances working well? You study what is working well, and you find out what are the reasons. And my humble submission is this: whatever has helped finances become better, you can use the same attitude, the same approach to make other things better. You can become flexible and adaptable by that. Whatever has helped Farooq have a supportive medical team will help Farooq in being flexible and adaptable. Anybody who wants to come online and talk? And then we will move on to the new material for today's session. What is working well in your life right now? Yadnesh, Sachin, Parthiban, you definitely, by God's grace, have something to share.
Hi Rahul, this is Sachin here.
Yes.
I just need you to give me one small example using Farooq's whatever he said. Like you
Hmm.
told him कि whatever is working well for him, he can use it in
Hmm.
other areas and to make him flexible and adaptable.
Hmm.
Actually, I like Farooq sir, if you can mention something which is not working for you right now. And if Rahul, if you could guide him, how exactly can he implement what is working for him well in that area
Sure.
which is not working well practically?
Sure. Sure. Yes, we can definitely try it out there.
Just one example
Absolutely.
in short.
Farooq, are you open to that? Thank you, Parthiban. Family support, colleague support, finance. So taking yes, I'll wait for Farooq to. Oh, Farooq is here.
Okay, that's
Okay, but I understand where you're coming from, Sachin, and that's a good point. So uh, I'll just give an example, just fleshing out that example which I talked about, maths and history, you know. So let's say a child has two teachers, one who is teaching maths and one who is teaching history. And the child says that I love my maths class. I don't like my history class. And a good thing to do is look at what's working well. Maths class is working well. So the parent goes to the maths teacher and asks, okay, how do you teach? What is your approach? And the maths teacher might say that, you know what, I create everything as a game. And I always give my child, the student, something easy to begin with. And that easy answer makes him get more confidence. And then I increase the level of difficulty, you know, and I move on from there and I take frequent breaks. And I also have a reward. I say that if we do this much, next time I'll get you a chocolate. Now, because of this example, the parent can go to the history teacher and share that. And the history teacher will say, okay, you know, let me try this out. It's just a question of finding out what's working well, identifying the causes and using them. So let's take Manu's example, for instance, Manu has written family support colleague support, and finance caretaker. So identifying, okay, what makes family support happen? What makes colleague support happen? You will realize that, part of the answer is just the closeness and the intimacy and the love. You know, they have so much affection for me. How does that affection created? Manu has to find out what did he do to make these beautiful things happen. And Manu may have this answer that I also love them. I also give them the respect they get. And then when he says that, okay, I also love them, I give them the respect. And let's say he has a relationship where things aren't working out. Manu has now some formula, some code. He knows that he has to bring love and respect to that relationship and it will work out. And Farooq, for instance, in finances, he has spoken about good planning. So good planning has helped him become, has helped things work out for him. So when he thinks about something which is not working well, the simple thing he has to say is, what is my strength? My strength is good planning. And then he will say, okay, in this topic where I am having problems, how can I plan better? How can I plan better? And since he has a supportive medical team and supportive house help, another of Farooq's strength is relationships. He also seems to be having relationships. Then in looking at the thing that is not working out, by strengthening which relationship and with whom will I be able to get help on this topic? That's how we can proceed. Does that answer your question to some extent, Sachin, or you're free to give your example?
No, I got
Give
it. It answers a lot to quite a bit.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. So sometimes it could be as simple as, let's say a husband and a wife are having problems, husband and wife also divide household work. And sometimes the wife, naturally says that, oh, you are not contributing, you are doing only this much. And then the husband finds out that, the husband tries to discover, okay, why am I not being flexible? The husband may realize when he does a deep dive that actually whenever he has said yes to dividing work is because people have talked well with him. So identifying how we become flexible is very important. Okay. Any more questions before we proceed to the new material?
Someone has just joined now.
Okay. I see. Welcome, whoever has joined just now. You're more than welcome. Is this the first time you're joining or you were there for the 5th May session? First time. Okay, Shashank. Unfortunately, I've just done a recap of what we did on 5th May, the first session. But no problems. You have the recordings. Vasundhara makes recordings. So you can go through recording of 5th May and today's session as well. And rest assured, Shashank, you will understand everything that has happened so far. So now I am moving on to the new material. And we'll be revisiting this point about how to make things stronger, like how to use this insight. Number one challenge is that we look only at what's not working. We look at one reality, but there are other realities which work. We will revisit that point again. Okay, this is what we ended with. What you focus on will grow. So किसी चीज के बारे में if something so for instance if we are not flexible and we are rigid, we focus on what's working and we say, oh, we are flexible in this, we compromise on this. What makes us compromise? And that is where you will get the answer. Not doing a deep dive into the problem, but finding out the other things which are working well and studying them. That's really the key point. Okay, so what's the number 2 challenge that doesn't let us be flexible and adaptable? And this number 1 and number 2 answers I have got from you. I have got from the research that I did with this KWF community. Having said that, the answers are universal. So even if we were to do this session with somebody else, any group, even supposedly healthy people, the answers won't deviate much. So let me directly go to the answer now. Unlike the first time where actually I showed you pictures, I made you do exercises. So Anna, this will speak to you, because you were actually talking about the same thing. The number 2 challenge, and I have directly written it, and we will see how this is true by virtue of one single example, and we'll take multiple examples. We are stuck in unhelpful patterns of thoughts, beliefs, and actions. Since we are talking about behavior here, flexible and adaptable behavior, we will just a quick word on what is a pattern. So what is a pattern? Pattern क्या रहता है? When the word pattern is used, what is it? Anybody can unmute and share. What is a pattern? In behavior, what is a pattern? What is meant by a pattern?
Predictable way of reacting.
Predictable way of reacting. Okay. How come it becomes predictable?
Because you're comfortable with it.
Yes.
Because you know
But
it'll have good results.
Yes, but when we say it's predictable, how do we come to know that it's predictable?
It's
Past
repetitive.
experience.
It's repetitive. Past experience, repetitive. You're both saying the same thing. The reason why it's predictable is because it's happened before. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's repeated. It's repetitive behavior. And it's unhelpful. But still we repeat it. And that's the mystery, isn't it? हमारे काम नहीं आ रहा है. It's unhelpful. But we seem to be stuck. And that's what this picture is. It's a web. Except unlike a spider who doesn't get caught in the web, we make this web and we get caught into it. हमारा ही क्या कराया है. We have made this web, this unhelpful pattern. And as I said, I'm inviting you to think beyond your kidney challenges. Relate as a total human being. How is this for an example? Let's take the example of those who smoke in a stressful situation. I'm sure everybody here in this room knows of people like this, those who are smokers. So let's take a very neutral, safe example. अपने से related नहीं है, and some of you may have smoked in the past, so all the more better you can relate to it. I'll just pause here for any questions because I haven't asked this for a long time. Any questions based on what has been done so far? Please feel free. Questions, feedback. You can write in the chat box as well. I have learned as a trainer not to presume anything. But in the interest of time, I will have to presume that there are no questions. If there are, please feel free to interrupt me anytime. Okay. Everybody can read the screen? Visible? Let me explain a bit. What is the trigger? कोई भी पैटर्न रहता है बिहेवियर का एक ट्रिगर रहता है समथिंग मेक्स इट स्टार्ट नो व्हाट इज द ट्रिगर स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट द ट्रिगर फॉर cooking is starting the gas. It starts the process. No? So trigger is what makes the action happen. So a smoker, trigger is a stressful situation. Then comes the thought. The thought for a smoker is, I'm feeling the pressure, have to escape this feeling, have to escape this feeling. That's the thought a smoker has. Ask any smoker who says, I smoke to relieve stress. They will say, yes, I go through this thought. What is the belief? Belief is, yaar, ek puff marunga, it will calm me down, it will make me feel better. And what's the action? Reach out for the cigarette. And this is also true for those who are drunkards. The action is different, but those who drink to overcome stress, same pattern. We are really studying the pattern now. Now let's go deeper into this. What happens next? Every smoker feels a temporary relief. And he feels that, oh yes, I am feeling better. And invariably, after some time, they realize that the stressful situation hasn't gone away. It's back to square one. You again start feeling the stress. And they say, oh no, I'm feeling the pressure again. I'm inviting anybody and everybody who thinks that this is not accurate or they have a different version. Please feel free to share. That's how we'll learn. So the question to ask is, ये repeat होता है. So the person smokes again. So the behavior, as Farooq and Anna said, is repetitive. It's predictable. It happens again and again. So the question to ask, which very few people ask, is, how is this pattern serving me? What purpose is it fulfilling? What most of us do when we are stuck in a bad pattern is we don't study it. We don't ask the question, yep, because this is the key point. हम लोग जो कर रहे हैं वो हमारी मदद कर रहा है. ऐसा हमको लगता है. We think that it's working. So we have to study, how is this pattern serving me? That's the key question that you need to ask. What purpose is it fulfilling? मेरी किस प्रकार सेवा कर रहा है ये पैटर्न? You know? इससे कौन सा उद्देश्य पूरा हो रहा है? So for instance, when Anna says that, I stay in my comfort zone. So how is that serving you? Staying in the comfort zone, what is it making you feel? What purpose is it fulfilling? That's a good question for Anna to ask. Now let's go deeper into the smoking example. कैसे pattern serve कर रहा है? How does the pattern serve the smoker? It actually makes the smoker feel, I am in control. The situation is not. For that short period of time, when the smoker is smoking, he is feeling that he is in control. Isn't that a fantastic thing to feel when immediately you do something and you feel you are in control? And the purpose it is fulfilling is this. It protects the smoker from feeling helpless. मैं लाचार हूं, मैं बेबस हूं, मेरे पास कुछ करने को नहीं है. The smoker stops feeling that and it gives him a sense of power. Yes, I am in control. Now, this is a question that I am asking. Let's all put ourselves in the shoes of the smoker and ask this question. Am I in control? Am I having the power? Now, I'm inviting each and every one of you to ask this question. on behalf of the smoker. Let us imagine that we are smokers. Are we in control? Are we having the power? What do you think? Please write down in the chat box or come online and say. Remember, we are just pretending that we are the smoker. What do you think?
We're not in control of the situation.
We are not in control of the situation. Okay. Thank you. What about others? Not in control, force, power. Thank you. Yes, anybody else?
I think
Anybody
we are in
thinks?
control because there's a temporary feeling of I'm the boss.
Absolutely. We are in control, but there is a temporary feeling. This is the answer. What Farooq says is true, but it's an illusion, Farooq. The pattern is in control, not me. It's like on autopilot mode. You know, the plane, when it's in autopilot mode, the pilot doesn't need to be there on the seat. They can go to the washroom, have coffee, chat, do whatever. But the plane flies itself. So similarly, the action is in autopilot mode. But the key point to remember is why it's happening. It's happening because the smoker feels that they are in control. So the question to ask is, agar ye unhelpful hai, okay, Manu, hope everything remains fine. You can log off. If it is unhelpful, why does the pattern persist? क्यों persist होता है ये pattern? Yeah. I would invite you to give an answer. आपको क्या लगता है क्यों pattern persist होता है? The answer is already given in what was said before.
Because it's giving an illusion of control. That's why.
Super. It's giving an illusion of control. We think we are in control, but we are not. Anybody else who has a different take, or you can say the same thing in different words? Vasundhara, you're free to comment as well. Why does the pattern persist? I wish that psychology student was there. Last time there was somebody who was the doctor in psychology or something. Is she on the call?
Yes, sir, I'm there.
Yes,
So
Ripti. So you
I
can
think-
help us. Why does the pattern persist?
So maybe some belief system you're talking about?
Belief system. Okay. Yeah, they believe they are in control.
Yeah.
So we will go deeper into that. This is really the key. We do not recognize there is a pattern. You talk to any drunkard, any drug addict, any smoker, you know. Nowadays, people, especially kids, are, becoming video game addicts. You talk to them and they will say that, no, we are not addicts. We do not recognize there is a pattern. यानी उनको लगता है every smoker, every drinker, he thinks that he is choosing. He has the choice to stop. And even if we recognize that there is a pattern, we think that we are in control. हाँ यार, मैं लेता हूँ हमेशा cigarette, but मैं control में हूँ. I can stop whenever wants. And we don't think that the pattern is unhelpful. Because you know why? We don't feel the pattern is unhelpful because it's serving a purpose. So for the smoker in the same example, what is the purpose? It prevents the smoker from feeling helpless. It prevents them from feeling that I can't do anything. And for that temporary moment, when they are experiencing that smoking high, they feel that, yes, I am in control. So let us do a live example right now for ourselves. And really the way this session and this particular number 2 challenge and its learning will be useful for all of us is if we relate to it. So we have to identify one unhelpful pattern based on our behavior in our life. And we have to identify these things. Trigger, thought, belief, action. Identify a pattern. So let me give one more example and then I will invite you to sit quietly for 5 minutes and write down one pattern and do this analysis for yourself. कि ऐसा कौन सा pattern है? So for instance, I will share now. So as I've said, I have a son. I have a son and no, he's 9 years old and no, I found rather many months back that he is putting on weight. He's growing a pot belly and he has a couple of health challenges in the future. And so getting fat is not going to help him at all. It's a big risk, you know. I'm giving you the background so that you understand the situation. So if he's growing fat and kids nowadays have so much of unhealthy junk food around, what's the trigger for me? I'm giving an example from my own life and then I'm inviting you to go through the same process. The trigger is when I see him reaching out for a chocolate or a junk food, any junk food. And what is the thought? What is the thought that comes to me? Oh no, not again. He's ruining his health. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Farooq. Take care. You can look at the recording. Thank you. Yeah, the thought is that, oh no, he's spoiling his health. And it's going to be bad. He needs to stop. He needs to stop. And the belief is that I have to make him stop. It's really about his health. Unfortunately, my action is I am shouting at him and I'm snatching that food away. Why is it unfortunate? Because when I do that, I leave him unhappy. I leave him feeling powerless and I leave him feeling that he doesn't have a choice. He becomes resentful. He's very unhappy with me. But more importantly, he wants to repeat the behavior. So he will try to eat it when I'm not around. Now, I've shared this much. I want you to help me now. This is what happens every single time. Trigger, thought, belief, action. My action is I shout at him and I snatch the junk food away. Please identify the pattern. The pattern is that I have snatched the food away, I have shouted at him. How is it serving me? I'm inviting you to figure that out for me. How is the pattern serving me? It's useful. It's serving some purpose. What is the purpose it's serving? Can you help me? Can you answer that for me? क्या हो रहा होगा? Why would I be doing that? Again, I am thinking that I am in control, but I'm not in control. The pattern is in control. Yes, anybody? It's perfectly fine to give whatever answer comes to you, whatever you think. Put yourself in my shoes and answer. Okay. Okay, OnePlus. Thank you.
You are trying to control the situation,
Yeah.
but in the long run, your son might get resentful, might get angry with you.
Yeah, but why is the why am I doing that? Like how is the pattern serving me?
You're
What I am
trying.
saying is that me shouting is serving some purpose. It may be the wrong purpose, it may not be helpful, but I don't realize it at that time. So what is the purpose it's serving?
Purpose is your son is going to be healthy by avoiding
Huh?
junk. Your son is going to be healthy by avoiding junk food, by not eating junk food.
No, that's not the reason why I behave that way. That
Is
is
it
that is the ultimate purpose. I agree, Sachin, Parthiba. That yes, I think that that's the goal. But what I'm saying is the solution that I have created is not going to work out. What is the reason? Like, what is it serving?
is it helping you in asserting your dominance over your child as a parent?
Superb. That's a great point.
And I think you feel the need as a parent, you need to be in control and you expect your child should be listening to you. And when
Yeah.
you shout at your child, when your child
Mhm.
doesn't, when he is very timid or he doesn't shout back at you, you
Mhm.
feel like you're in control and you realize that this shouting thing at him is really working.
Mhm.
Is
Yeah.
I may be wrong. So
No, there's no right or wrong. You're sharing your interpretation. I'm inviting others also to share. There is a lot of truth in that. I'll just phrase it differently
okay.
later on.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else
You
wants to try?
you reacted to it
Hmm.
very immediately. It was an instant reaction,
Hmm.
and you only took out your temper, but you
Hmm.
did not have a long-term solution. Like if you had sat and discussed the harm with him, or explained what you wanted to convey,
Hmm.
that didn't happen because at the moment you just felt that I have to tell him this. That
Yeah.
happens very often. We think that we have to be the one who's going to, stop things from happening, but it never happens that way.
Hmm. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of this. Now, if I were to share, how this pattern is serving me, uh, inviting everybody to listen carefully because what I am saying is universal. You know, Actually, as you say, the intention is good in the sense that what I want is for his own good, that he remains healthy. But you know what? The pattern is in control. My shouting, my snatching is an action, you know, that's happening on autopilot. And why is it happening? Actually, I have this fear of failure. You know, I don't know if I can trust him to make good choices. I don't know whether I can convince him and persuade him to eat only healthy foods. I have tried and it has not worked out, you know, and I want to not feel guilty that I didn't do everything possible. I need to, as Sachin said, I need to feel dominant. I need to force myself to let go of his choice and to protect him for his own good. This is all rationalization happening in my mind. उसके भले के लिए कर रहा हूं. I want to be right. And somewhere I think I am right because I'm stopping him from eating something which is bad for his health, right? At one level it is true, but at another level it's absolutely flawed because in the future I am not going to be around all the time and I am not going to be able to control him. The best solution is the child becomes mature and self-aware and makes the right choices. Am I helping him learn how to make the right choices? No. I am forcing my choice. And even though it's a good choice, because it's a forced choice, the child resents it. How many times it's happened to us as human beings? People have forced a choice on us. And though by ourselves, we would have also chosen that. But because kisi aur ne bola, somebody has forced that choice, we resent it. Humko nahi chahiye. I remember many times it's happened with me. I have ordered for my wife at a hotel, and it was something which she would have liked, but she hated the fact that I chose for her, so she decided to order something new on the menu. That's how we human beings are. So the reason, what if the pattern is serving me is again the same example, the same words which were written during the smoking example. It's serving me by making me feel that I am in control. It's serving me by protecting me from that sense of helplessness. And I am actually feeling helpless in the moment. I'm feeling isko. I've told him 100 times that it's bad for health, it will cause trouble for you, but he's not listening. So that helplessness is there. And the only way I know to escape that helplessness and to feel control is to dominate him, to assert myself, and to then do this action. But it's not serving me well, ultimately. Okay. I'll just pause here and check for understanding, and feel free to write down in the chat if you have understood this example, because it's really the key example. And then I'm going to invite you to do your own work, your own personal pattern, identify it and identify how it's serving you. I'll give another simple example. There was a guy who had a full-time job, and he decided to do a part-time business. And the part-time business was very successful. And the guy used to enjoy going to parties, going to people's places and sharing his story. You know what? I have a full-time job, but in spite of that, I'm doing something part-time and it's usually successful. Look, I'm able to multitask. I'm able to do two things at the same time and I'm so successful. Now, a time came when this guy became so good in his part-time work that he was earning more in his part-time business than in his full-time job. Now, you would logically think that this guy will now feel so bold. He will say, let me leave that full-time job. But he did not. Can you share with me, based on all that we have spoken, क्यों नहीं छोड़ पा रहा था? Why was he not able to leave the full-time job?
Fear of failure.
Hello? Fear
Hello?
of failure?
Fear of
It's something. It's something related to the pattern and how it was serving him. What was this pattern? Think in terms of the pattern. In a way, I've shared the pattern. The pattern was that he used to go around telling people that I have a full-time job, I have a part-time job, and you know what? My part-time job is more successful. It gave him a sense of assurance.
sense of control also.
Yeah, but the answer is something more funny. It could be all of that, but actually the pattern is serving him. The pattern is him telling people. He was used to it. What was he used to? He would lose his power to brag. Super, Sachin. Can you just explain what that means?
I think what, as you mentioned, he was going about telling people like, he's able to do two things, etc. So if he gave up his full-time job, so and if he only did his part-time job, people will say, what is there? Usme kya hua? You're successful in one big deal.
Fantastic.
Which would
Isn't it amazing? Human psychology and human behavior. You know, that the guy is successful with the part-time job, but you know what? What is the pattern? The pattern is that he gets to brag. He gets to say that, you know what, full-time job se zyada part-time mein main kamata hu. I'm earning more in part-time. Look at how talented I am. But when he lets go of the full-time job, when he lets go of the full-time job, there is no story. What's the big deal about it then? He stops feeling that great about himself and it becomes a normal thing. And more importantly, now he becomes like an ordinary businessman with one main thing in his life where he can fail. In this thing, it's right now a great story that full-time job hai and फिर भी part-time में ज़्यादा कमाता हो. It's a better story for him to tell. So this is how, no, this is the number 2 pattern. The number 2 challenge in why people don't become flexible and adaptable. They get stuck in a pattern. Pattern is the key word. Repetitive thought, repetitive belief, repetitive action. Okay, so we've got 20 more minutes. Now, any questions? And then I'll invite you to create your own example. Please feel free to ask questions. In fact, I'm urging you to ask questions because that will help you do your own example. So get pen, paper if you want, or do it in your head and start your, relating to this content. Create your own example, like identify one pattern, and it's very easy. I think I had shared a document in which I had given a small checklist, a questionnaire. Find out whether you are adaptable, how flexible and adaptable you are. I had given you a checklist. So if you're not able to identify the pattern, just ask yourself, on what one thing have my near and dear ones, my family complained to me about my behavior? When have my parents, my family, my wife, my brother, my close friend said, you are stuck man or woman. तुम इस चीज में बदलते नहीं हो, तुम यही वही करते रहते हो, यू आर इनफ्लेक्सिबल, यू आर रिजिड, यू आर स्टबन. ये फीडबैक आपको मिला होगा. So that's your unhelpful pattern. Now I'm giving you 5 minutes. Please identify the pattern. Then you can analyze it further. Find out the trigger. क्या चालू करता है, क्या ट्रिगर चालू करता है. Like for a housewife who is really busy doing, not a housewife, a working woman who works in the office and then comes home, she reaches home before her husband. And then she is busy doing household work and clashes with her husband. And the trigger could be when the husband comes in, he behaves as if she has been at home and he says, give me a cup of tea. And that's the trigger for the pattern. I've just given an example. Okay, sure. Thank you. Thank you, Vasu. Yes, so giving you 5 minutes to identify your pattern. Be honest, be truthful to yourself. How much will you learn from this session? The amount you put in. So people go to the ocean, some carry a spoon, some carry a bucket. The person who carries a bucket, which means wanting to get more, he carries more. So similarly in this session, you have been given great material, even though I say so myself, but you can use it. It's not mine, it's the heritage of humankind, people helping each other. So use it, relate to this material, identify the pattern. And everybody has it. I shared my pattern vis-a-vis my son. Think of it. I am a trainer, I am a coach. I know these things, and yet I'm finding it hard to escape that pattern. More work needs to happen. But at least I'm honest. I can share it with people the way I'm sharing it with you. Okay, I've spoken enough. I'll wait for 5 minutes and then we can begin again. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute and ask me if you're struggling with doing any part of the exercise. Thank you for sharing, Priti. So while sharing with me or with the session in the session, you can just share your pattern and how is it serving you because that's the key learning. कि एक पैटर्न रहता है रेपिटेटिव बिहेवियर और वो हमको लगता है कि वो अच्छा है लेकिन सर्विंग अस बट वी आर नॉट अवेयर कैसे सर्व कर रहा है सो आई एम जस्ट मेकिंग हेल्पिंग ऑल ऑफ अस बिकम अवेयर ऑफ आवर पैटर्न एंड हाउ इट्स सर्विंग अस व्हाट्स इट हेल्पिंग अस टू डू Last 1 minute left. I'm wondering what examples have you been able to come up with? Okay, so time up. So now I'm inviting anybody and everybody, to speak. You don't need to share everything like trigger, thought, belief, action, but more the pattern and how it's serving you. Yes. Hey, feel free to say that you're not comfortable sharing with everybody, but say something. You can say that much. Yes, Sachin.
I don't know if this is a pattern, but this is perhaps you can let me know if it is. It's something that I've received a feedback on from quite a bit of people, quite a few. They tend to say that, whenever there is something new or there's a new topic or there is somebody is, asking my advice on something or things like that, I tend to overanalyze. I tend to look at a lot of it, tend to look at the topic from, a dozen different perspectives. कि अगर ये किया तो ये कर सकते हैं क्या? No, you need to look at this. ये हो सकता है, वो हो सकता है. And people tend to tell me, oh, you're overthinking it. कुछ ज़्यादा ही सोच रहे हो. And you're really deep diving into it. You don't need to look at it. Whereas some people say that, it looks like you बहुत डरता है ये. इसीलिए बहुत questions पूछता है. But for me, actually, it's not that. I feel like, I need to look at everything from all perspectives so that I don't have any regrets later on. So ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए कि अरे what I should have thought of it. ये तो it was right there in front of me. I should have thought of it, and I didn't listen to my instincts. Something like that. And this is happening a lot. So I'm wondering whether it's a pattern I need to break. I need to stop looking at things like from in details perspective, or because I think it really helps me. It helps me having no regrets later on. It keeps me like, I've protected all, I've looked at, analyzed everything safely and, something like that. So
Sure.
I'm not sure about whether this is a harmful pattern or it's a, so I'm confused.
Sure.
Again,
Sure.
so
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you for sharing that. It's courageous sharing, Sachin. So what you shared your pattern, let's say, I'll just simplify it right now. Now your pattern is you over analyzing, and that's the feedback that you've got.
Yes.
And the way this pattern serves you is protects you from regret. Right?
Yeah.
It
I'm sure a
protects
lot
you
of
from
other
regret.
things. Yeah,
Yeah,
regret
but
is one thing.
Hmm.
And it's just I don't want to leave any stone unturned. कि
Yeah.
ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए कि अरे boss, you should have seen this coming. इतना तो basic you should have had known.
Sure. So it protects you from faltering, from
Yeah.
being proven wrong.
Exactly. Yes.
It protects you from being proven wrong.
Yeah.
That's how it's serving you. Right?
Yeah.
Now, the key thing to ask, is it serving others?
No.
That's all.
No.
By that, what I mean is just give a simple example that let's say that you have overanalyzed and you have come up with what is the objectively truthful answer. But the what will serve the other person is hope. And what you are giving that person is the blunt truth, which he is not able to cope with, which will take away his hope. Then what you are giving that person is not what will serve the person the best. Hello.
I'm just trying to soak into that statement. So are you saying
Sure.
should I would rather give him hope, not tell him the blunt truth or
No,
so that
there's
he
no
feels
say.
hopeful?
I'm not saying that. I am inviting you to just, be able to think about what is it doing to the other person? Is it serving the other person? So if what the other person requires is hope,
Mm-hmm.
and when you give them the truth, which may be factually right, if it takes hope away from them and it makes them collapse, then it's obviously not serving the other person. So what you may need to do is to work extra hard and find how can I preserve the hope and help them accept the truth. It's not
Okay.
an either or. It's not an either or. But
Okay.
it's an invitation that, okay, this is serving me and it's objectively true. Now I need to be able to help the other person also accept it and preserve their hope.
Okay.
It's not an impossible task.
Yeah.
And it's helping you become flexible and adaptable. So the same truth, you may find that another person is even more starkly realistic than you. And when you give it, that person is delighted. Wow, you have hit
Yeah.
me with the truth. I really needed that. And they run away with it. But you did not that in dealing with that person, Sachin, because the person is so similar to you,
Mhm.
you did not, for you, it was not a case of being flexible and adaptable. It was just a question of being yourself.
Okay. Yeah,
Right?
I think what you're saying makes sense. Got it.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
What about others? What's the pattern? I'll share another example of a leader. Maybe it will inspire people to come up with their own example because it's really simple. There is a leader who has been a manager for, let's say, 5 years. And then after 5 years, he is not promoted because none of his team members have become good enough to replace him. So let's say that manager had 5 people and the management said that, oh, you can't be promoted because none of your 5 team members can take your place and become the manager. And then he does this exercise. And what he finds is there was a pattern. Whenever people came to him for help, he thought, and the trigger is people asking for help. What is the thought? Oh, I am their manager. I need to solve their problem. What is the belief? A manager solves people's problems, their team members' problems. He rescues them. He saves them. And what is the action? He advises them. Ye karo, wo karo. He just tells them what to do. And how is the pattern serving him? The pattern is serving him by making him feel good about himself as a manager. It's helping him feel that, yes, I have earned my money. I am justified. I'm worthy enough to be a manager. But has it truly served him? No, because what people under him needed was the learning on how to become a manager themselves. So instead of the action being advising people, what he needed to do is whenever people came to him with a problem, he needed to ask them, what do you think? What is your approach? He needed to educate them. He needed to make them feel aware. He needed to make them think differently. You know? So, you understand with this example, the pattern served him in making him feel good about himself because he always thought a manager or a leader is there to solve problems. He's not there to create other managers. But he got stuck himself. It wasn't flexible behavior. It wasn't adaptable behavior. So at one level, we think it's working for us, but at another level, it's not working for us. I trust that this is another example, another pattern, and it's so common in an Indian family or any family world over. Growing up boy, teenage years, doesn't get along with father, loves his mother. Mothers remain close to their sons, as teenagers. But whenever there are differences between between father and son, the mother always makes the son keep quiet and asks the son to tone down and say, don't pick up a fight, make peace. Doesn't let them resolve their differences. How does the pattern serve her? This is the pattern. She makes her son keep quiet. The pattern serves her by retaining her peace of mind. Because if the son were to rebel against the father will make the mother's life difficult. The son were to rebel against the father will make the mother's life difficult. So the pattern is serving her by helping her preserve her peace of mind, because she knows that the father will then be hostile towards the mother, that you have made him this way. See how he is behaving and all of that. This is another example of unhelpful patterns. I am not suggesting that the mother should just let the son and the father fight it out or confront each other. Right? And that could be one of the things to do in a specific situation. But what I am saying is we are controlled by our patterns. That's the important thing to realize. You have to bring back choice and awareness. Okay, I'll pause here. So Sachin has given a great example. Any other example? Any other thing to share? So Sachin has given a great example. Any other example? Any other thing to share? Can you share about your pattern? Any other example? Any other thing to share? Can you share about your pattern? Okay. So I'll just move ahead, But I'm inviting everybody to reflect on at least Sachin's example, and of course my example, my son, how that pattern is serving me. So the way to take this learning forward is to look at any behavior of yours which you want to change and identify the pattern. What is the pattern? Repetitive behavior. Behavior which we think we are in control of, but actually it is in control. The pattern is in control. And then us asking, how is this pattern serving me? It's serving me. It's helping me at some level, even though the help is not really ultimately useful. It's helping me at some level, even though the help is not really ultimately useful. Okay, so I'll just reach the concluding slides. So the topic was being flexible and adaptable, and we identified two challenges. One is we are guided by one reality, our dominant reality, the reality that we experience the most. What is the insight? The insight is that there are other realities where life is working well, and we do not even experience how life is better because of those realities. So in the document that I shared, I'd given the example of how as a teenager, we had a small house. And whenever a guest came to live with us, I was affected in my daily routine. The guest used to stay in my room and I hated it. So what was the dominant reality? Oh, this guest has come and disturbed my routine. But what were the other realities which were true? The other realities was I learned how to behave with somebody else who comes from a different culture, a different town, a different worldview. I learned to empathize. okay, when I become a guest, how will I feel the same vulnerability which this guest might be feeling? If I am aware and if I notice those realities, they're helping me become flexible. And I learn to adjust to change. That is another reality, right? When somebody comes, that's another reality. So there are so many other realities which I can notice and experience, and they will help me. So what is the possible first step for all of us? Start noticing and appreciating multiple realities, especially those where life is working well. So whenever you are unhappy, whenever you are stuck, say, and you start off with the statement, everything is bad. Question yourself, challenge yourself. Is everything bad? Even in this situation, is there something which is good? And you can identify even the simplest thing. Yes, something is good. What is good? My mind is working. My mind is able to say that, this is bad, which means that I am aware, or I think I am aware. That's starting to work. You have picked up something. My mind is aware. My mind notices. Then from that, you can then ask, is my mind mistaken? What is the mind looking at? How is it creating its inferences? Now you are investigating your own mind. But it started by appreciating that first reality, that if things are not working well, at least I'm able to notice them. That's a great reality to notice, a positive reality that I'm able to notice. There's so many people whose life isn't working well and they don't even realize it. So that's the first challenge, that we are guided by one reality or dominant reality. What's the second one? We are stuck in unhelpful patterns. And the key insight is that they serve a purpose. So when somebody find a drunkard or a smoker, you may just say they are doing something bad, their life is ruined, but the way to help them is to identify the purpose. So when they are smoking or when they are drinking, it's serving a purpose. What is the purpose? It's making them feel that it's for their good. It's not for their good, but they are feeling that way. What's the reason? Identify that reason and address that reason. So it's great to help make a smoker realize that, you think you are in control, but you are not. The how part is important. Just telling them is not important. It will not do the trick. So what is the possible first step for you? Ask, is the purpose being served more important than facing the real challenge? So that's a great question to ask, right? When you deal with the smoker or the drunkard or yourself, you find out this is the purpose. So for instance, using Sachin's example, his purpose was to protect himself from being wrong, protect himself from regret. But then he can then ask the question, is this more important than facing the real challenge? And the real challenge could be that when he is analyzing not to be right. He is analyzing to help the other person. He is analyzing to make the relationship stronger. And that is the real challenge. And the answer could be that the purpose is not being served. Okay. So typically, what's the breakthrough? Like for instance, like example, my life is full of stress. This is the dominant reality. How do you break out? Like what's the first step लेना है, लेकिन क्या सोचना है? What can help? You can start with, is it all stress? Deliberately exaggerate. If your mind is telling you my life is full of stress, ask, is it all stress? Not even a single moment when there is no stress. And when you ask it this way, you will start responding. Wait a minute, there is one moment when there is no stress. There are two moments. There are three moments. It could be your granddaughter smiling when you come back from work or from dialysis. It could be that cup of tea, which makes you feel better. But there is. So what is the possible first step? Then start becoming aware. Life is good when, ... filling the blanks. I am happy when, ... I enjoy, ... if you start writing down these things, you will realize that there are moments when life is without stress. It's just that I'm not noticing them. Now, and the thing to do to strengthen them, to make those moments expand, to help more such moments happen, is to ask what makes these moments possible. I will do this to make them happen. You have to identify what you do to make them happen. You are the person that you are in control of. You can only change yourself. So identify कुछ अच्छा होता है, मैं क्या करता हूँ जिसके कारण वो होता है. How do I contribute? So I smoke when I am under stress instead of facing the situation. That's the number 2 challenge, unhelpful pattern. What's the insight? Smoking in an escape. I just feel better temporarily. Nothing else changes. So asking what is more important, feeling better temporarily or facing the real challenge? Especially when I know that I won't feel better for long. क्योंकि situation तो बदला नहीं है. The situation hasn't changed. After the smoking high, the dopamine effect is gone. I'm again back to the same problem, the same me, the same situation, no solution. So have I faced the real challenge by smoking? No, you haven't. You've just felt better temporarily. Accepting that, recognizing that, acknowledging that is the key. That's it. I'll be sharing this presentation with Vasundhara and she will help you. So that's it. Any questions, parting thoughts? My one question is what has been helpful to you, and you can move out from, we can all say bye and we can move on. Questions, feedback, comments? Yes, Sachin.
I think both the sessions together, they've been a great thing. You've given us a lot of homework, frankly, in the second session. I think I'll need to go back and identify a lot of this patterns things that you mentioned is really interesting. And the second thing about the dominant reality, I'm pretty sure everyone's dominant reality in our group is that we are CKD patients.
Sure.
So I think that is something which is, I'm sure everyone will need to work on.
Sure.
It's not going to be easy. I'm quite honest upfront. I'm telling you, it looks really overwhelming what you've asked me to do. But I think those stepwise, the ones that you've given in this session towards the end, like identifying the patterns and then actionable things stepwise, I think that should be something interesting to do. So I really look forward to implementing it. Thanks a lot.
Sure.
It's something different.
Sure. So one quick observation.
Uh-huh.
I read it just yesterday. What is the way to face one big scary problem? What is the way to handle one big scary problem? The way to handle that one big scary problem is to realize that all we need to do is to pick up and solve small problems, one after the other.
So you need to kind of structure it, break it up into small pieces.
That's one way. You know, in training we say, how do you eat an elephant? And we say that eat an elephant one piece at a time.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
And always remember that the dominant reality, I had given that example in the last session also, that if you have a terrible toothache and that's your dominant reality, and you hear that you have just won $1 million lottery, so that's another reality. And it makes you feel great, for a few minutes. And almost makes you forget that to take for 1 or 2 minutes. And then what happens after 1 or 2 minutes? The toothache reasserts itself, right?
Yeah.
Because So it's not that dominant reality goes away, but as the title suggests, we adapt to it better. We learn how to endure it. We find ways of coping, of living in the moment. There is a beautiful this thing on mindfulness, and it's from a chronic pain sufferer. I forget her name. I was hearing a podcast, but basically she had a lot of physical challenges, and she was checked into a hospital, and she was having insufferable pain, and lying on the bed at night, she was just thinking continuously, oh, I have to somehow survive the night, and tomorrow morning I'll be better. You know?
Okay.
And the breakthrough for her happened, she says, is when somewhere a voice spoke from within. You don't have to survive the night. You have to just live in the present moment. You have to survive the current moment. That's all. Don't focus even, for the night, like the end of the night. I just have to cope with the moment, the living moment. And she says that really, no, created a breakthrough for her in terms of how to cope with pain. As simple a thing as not even thinking about next day morning and it being better helped.
That's a deep thought, actually.
Hmm. Okay, so Vasundhara, I think we are done. Tripti, Parthiban, any other thoughts? And everybody else who is there. Oh, that's all.
She has messaged that she's got guests at home, so she can't talk.
Oh, okay, no problem.
So she
So
can only
you can
listen.
stop the recording then, and
Okay.
we can call it a day. Thank you so much. Parthiban, what's been useful for you, if you could share that?
Yeah, it's
And
very useful actually. This thing, the pattern. A lot of people have complained about various things about me, with respect to my anger issues, behavioral
you are
issues,
very
behavioral issues, and
yeah,
anger issues.
but both for you and Sachin, always remember that yes, every person's complaint is a opportunity for you to reflect on yourself, but know that what's true for you is also true for them, in the sense that when they complain about you, part of the challenge is for them internally. They also have issues to handle within themselves. Remember that.
Right.
So don't take it too harshly upon yourself either.
Sometimes
Okay, Vasun. Yeah?
sometimes I take a lot of days to process what happened,
Yeah.
what I try to recall and try to process it after a lot of days. Your technique helps me to process much faster actually.
I
Thank you.
see. I see. Most welcome. Okay, Vasundhara, any parting thought from you?
I think both the sessions, as a summary, when you put both of them together, makes a lot of sense. And we got, I hope more people have joined the second session actually. But I think the numbers were not bad. And we'll be adding this portion in the newsletter. We're coming up to the newsletter.
Sure.
That is from April to June activities. So both the sessions are covered. So we will be taking some slides and putting it there.
Sure.
And whatever you have spoken. And I will give the link of the recording so people who want to listen to the recording can listen. I think
Sure.
the second recording is good enough because you've covered it, extensively. You've taken both the topics. So people can listen to this, and this should be enough because the first recording, I think this was clearer. I don't know why I feel this was clearer. Maybe the breakout rooms, people were going out, coming back, that was, here it didn't happen that way. It became a little
No, it's one person's opinion. Of course, a smaller setting makes people feel that way.
Yeah.
And for you, the thing just got reinforced. You were there for the first session as well as the second session.
Yeah.
But it really boils down to two things. The conditioning of people. People are used to be passive recipients and just used to sitting and taking in expert advice and opinion. And my sessions, my approach is different. I invite people to engage with the material, to ask questions of themselves. And if people are, for whatever reason, unable to do that, then it's not going to be as engaging and rewarding.
But actually,
So-
even for me, I have to learn a lot from you. I have to approach it this way with the patients. Only that I feel I've got very little time, in the sense I've got too many things happening at one point of
Sure.
time. So
Sure.
I'm not able to give that, focused attention to any one task. But I'll see whether I can correct it in our Zoom meetings at least, because that gives them more opportunity, flexibility to think and talk also. It makes it a
Absolutely.
more friendly atmosphere, actually.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, the logic is very short and simple. Whenever you experience resistance, which means life is not working out your way, that's an opportunity to reflect on what is it that you can change. And the surest thing you can change is yourself,
That is
not
true.
other people.
And
That's-
changing yourself is the biggest hurdle, because that is a
Yeah.
lot more work.
Yeah. So it's really about awareness, isn't it? The
Yeah.
example, the second thing was just that identifying that when smokers smoke, there is some
Yeah.
positive purpose that they don't realize is not working out. At the moment, they think it's working out, but pointing out that there is a purpose which is serving them, that gives the breakthrough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you
very
so
much,
much.
Rahul, for doing
Most
this for
welcome.
us, for
Most
Kidney Warriors
welcome.
Foundation.
Most
And
welcome.
we can't thank you enough.
Most welcome. Most welcome. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. All
Bye-bye.
the best, Parthiban, Sachin, Trupti. Bye. Bye.